Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and today I want to talk about jack pads and snap pads. Now, jack pads are the disc that's on the bottom of your leveling jacks on your RV. That varies a lot from one RV to another. Motorhomes are pretty consistent. Other RVs, the jacks work a lot in different ways. But basically, there are two types of jack pads. The first one is a totally flat pad that is like a 9-inch wide circular disc. And that disc, as the pad comes down, the disc rests onto the ground. And the other type is a pad that is shaped more like a frying pan with the edges curved up. And those are a little wider. However, the part of the pad that touches the ground is still 9 inches round. Now, commonly people will put some type of leveling blocks underneath the jack, like this. These plastic leveling blocks are put underneath the jack, so the jack goes down onto here. And the purpose of any kind of block underneath your jack pads, there's two reasons for using them. Number one is that the jack pad is steel, and when it comes down onto asphalt or concrete, it can possibly damage the asphalt or the concrete. If the asphalt is kind of soft, it can create a little dimple type impression onto the asphalt. Or concrete in particular can be brittle. And if the jack pad has put so much weight onto the concrete, it can cause the concrete to crack. And my motorhome weighs about 27,000 pounds. If you have all four of the jacks down, then that is a lot of weight to put on 4 points. So these help distribute the weight of the jack and of the RV to prevent the jack pads from damaging the asphalt or the concrete. Reason number two is that if you're putting your jack pads down on ground, either dirt or grass, they can sink into the dirt or grass. You can have them leveled. You can get your coach leveled. However, after it sinks down a bit, it can then become unleveled. So the more you distribute the weight, the better. Now, these are only 8.5 inches wide, so that's not really going to help much at all. But you can get some blocks like this that are maybe as much as 11 inches wide, which helps a little bit. 9 inches versus 11 inches distributes the weight a little bit more. But there's another way of doing it with what's called a snap pad, which is the name that the company that manufactures these snap pads has given them. And there's two different kinds of snap pads. One is for the kind of jack pad that is a flat pad, 9 inches a disc. And then for a lot of motorhomes, like mine, it uses the kind of jack pad that curves up like a frying pan. So that's what these are for. So still, with mine, the pad that touches, the part that touches the ground is 9 inches. And they fit into here. However, on the other side, this is 13.25 inches wide. So that distributes the weight a lot more. From 9 inches would really be only this much. So that's an extra about 2 inches on each side. to make up 13¼ inches. So this versus 9 inches is a lot of difference. So the ways these install is that you put them underneath your jack pad, and when the jack pad comes down, the jack pad rests inside of here, and there's a little lip here where the pad snaps into, so that it's a permanent one-time installation, so that when your jacks come up, this come up with it. So this is a permanent installation, so you never have to fool with any sort of leveling blocks, or some people just use blocks of wood, which I have used and found that the blocks of wood will crack in half if it's on a ground, as opposed to on concrete or pavement. Now obviously I haven't installed mine yet, which I am going to do, and I'm putting a link in the description below for a video made by the manufacturer that shows exactly how to install these. Now these also have a groove around here and a groove across here, and you see the hole in the middle. The purpose of that is drainage for water that gets into it. When it rains, or if these are going onto a wet ground, they will get a lot of water in here underneath the jack pad, so that water will drain out of this hole. So once I get these on, then I will never again have to use blocks like this or any such sort of blocks underneath my jacks, with a possible exception if I do need more blocks underneath my jacks in order to be able to level. Then I've got some big blocks of wood that I would put underneath this. I've got blocks of wood that are 12 inches by 18 inches that I would put underneath here if, for chance, I do need more height to my jacks. So I'm going to show you what my jacks look like now before I install these, and then after you watch the installation video in the link below, then you'll see what they look like with the RV SnapPads on. If you go to RVSnapPads.com, you can learn more about these. I'll put that link also in the description below. So you can see here what the jack pad looks like when it is down on concrete. So now I'm going to raise the pads so you can see what they look like underneath. See how rounded the edges are there, and the bottom part that actually touches on the ground. So I think I'm going to like these a lot, mostly for the convenience of never having to bother with putting anything underneath my jacks. Let's say almost never. And if for any reason turns out I don't like them, I'll let you know later. If you don't hear from me later about these, then you can assume that I am very happy with my RV SnapPads. So I hope this has helped you in deciding what you want to use underneath your jack pads when you need something underneath them. Good day, folks.